If you've been around for a while, you know that I love the ability to make data-based decisions. While most business owners are all for tracking their revenue, their expenses, and their profit, there are far fewer that are willing to go all in and track their most important resource, their time. And I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that time tracking is incredibly fun, but I have yet to find another tool that can have such an incredible impact on your productivity, your effectiveness, and give such a boost to your decision-making abilities. My name is Kari, and I'm an operations consultant that helps 6 and 7-figure entrepreneurs build simple, sustainable businesses by establishing a solid operational foundation. One of the things that I've discovered about myself is that I'm absolutely terrible at estimating how long a particular task will take to complete. If I'm looking back on something I did in the past, my guess on how long it took to finish that task is usually based on my feelings around it. If it was something I loved to do, I'll likely look back and underestimate, and if it was something that wasn't really my favorite, I tend to think it took way longer than it actually did. But as it turns out, I'm not the only one with this issue. Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky coined a term for this called the planning fallacy, which is a phenomenon in which predictions about how much time will be needed to complete a future task displays an optimism bias and to underestimate the time needed. So we often think that we're going to be way more productive than we are, and then when we don't live up to those standards, we're left frustrated and with our momentum limping along. So what's the best way to combat this? We can do regular time tracking exercises so we can see where our time is really going. But before we dive into how to track our time well, let's talk about some of the benefits. First, time tracking takes you from this false, overly optimistic view into reality by collecting and analyzing solid data. But one thing that's really important to remember here is that time tracking requires honesty and consistency, as those future decisions can only be as good as your data is. One thing I always underline with my clients is that there's nothing about time tracking that's meant to make you feel bad or guilty. It's simply just a snapshot in time so that you know where your baseline is. Second, time tracking enables you to take the trends that you're learning about from your days and your weeks and then lean into those strengths. I like to rate effectiveness as we go through the time tracking exercise, as it makes it clear to me which parts of my day are most productive for me. In the same way that it's hard to remember what we did a couple of days ago, it's also really hard in retrospect to remember how I was feeling last Monday at 1 o'clock. But when you have data to be able to build off of, it allows you to make decisions about how to structure your days and weeks to make best use of your productivity and your energy. Third, accurate time tracking ensures that you're maintaining the profitability that you need in your business. If you don't know if completing a task is going to take 1 hour or 3 hours, it makes it extremely difficult to both offer an accurate financial quote for the job and also to know when the task can reasonably be delivered and what your capacity is for new clients. So with these points in mind, if you're willing to dive in and try a time audit, how do you do it? There's not really one right way, but my preference is that for at least 3, but preferably 5 normal working days, record all of the tasks that you do and how long they take. But what's a normal working day? As an entrepreneur, I know that no 2 days are the same, but you want to avoid time tracking on days that are way out of your norm, such as if you're attending a conference or something along those lines. You'll want to stop every 15 minutes and make a note of exactly what you're doing, and it's really important here to be specific. So instead of noting something like client work, instead write draft email sequence for client X. Since time can really start to fly by when you're in deep work mode, I really like to set my alarm every 15 minutes so I can remember to check in and record what I'm doing. One common question I get from clients is, if I start to notice that time tracking is influencing my behavior, should I go with that or should I stick with what I normally do? And that's such a good question. I'm of the opinion that the hardest part of establishing a new habit is the beginning. So if time tracking gives you a 3 or 5 day head start to modifying a negative behavior, like stopping the endless scroll on social media, or adding a positive one, such as finding one-on-one time with your kids, then go for it. Just be sure to record it accurately. In the description below, you'll find a link to a downloadable time tracker you can use if you'd like to undertake a time audit. You'll want to print out one sheet for every day and to actually carry it around with you on a clipboard so you can make notes at regular intervals. If you go an hour or 2 without taking notes, your data will become less and less reliable. And if you're going to base decisions on it, you want the data to be as accurate as it possibly can be. The worksheet's divided into 15-minute increments and also includes a column where you can rate your effectiveness over that same time period. Choose A, high, B, medium, or C, low in terms of effectiveness. You can leave the last column empty until you're completely done with the exercise. The last step is to collect all of your completed sheets and review them. You'll see the last column gives you the choice of 4 options: K, keep, O, outsource, A, automate, and S, scrap. The tasks that only you can be doing in your business should obviously stay in the keep pile, and any items that a team member could take over for you could be marked as outsource. If there's some tasks that could be automated with a software tool, mark those as automate, and when you find yourself doing tasks that really don't need to be done at all, they land in the scrap pile. For the outsourced tasks, look to see if something can be handed off immediately to a current team member. You might need to create an SOP for that first, or you can add it to a list of tasks that your next hire could take over if your current team doesn't have the skills or capacity to do the task. Remember, you've already established how long the different tasks will take to complete, and that's essential when delegating or hiring. While time tracking can feel tedious, circling back to it once a quarter is a great place to start. Hopefully, each time you do it, you'll have less and less things on your plate that shouldn't be there, and it will help you to quickly refocus on what's really important and what only you should be doing. So again, please grab the printable time tracker in the description below and dive right in. And let me know in the comments if you've ever done a time audit. I'd love to hear how it went and what your biggest takeaway was.